Hi, I'm George Mariner Mole, Artistic Director of the Discovery Orchestra, and welcome to Notes from Under the Piano, stories from my life as a musician, conductor, and teacher. It all began when, as a child, I liked to recline under our grand piano as my mother practiced, and the rest, as they say. Today's episode, Earworms. Earworm. This revolting term actually has a specific musical meaning. Wikipedia states, an earworm, sometimes also known as a brainworm, that sounds even worse to me, is a catchy piece of music that continually repeats through a person's mind after it's no longer playing. Have you ever had this experience? Of course you have. And it occurs most of the time as a snippet of song, a short portion of the melody and the lyrics that just won't stop playing in our heads. Annoying. The reason that short clips from songs are what most people experience as earworms is that the popular song, in whatever style it presents itself, is by far the most prominent genre of music in our culture. Think about music streaming platforms. You can only listen to songs. Even if it's a movement from a Beethoven string quartet, it's still called a song. The very idea that music has no words but just abstract sounds is unusual for a lot of people. Just ask someone under the age of 20 if they would be willing to listen to a 5-minute wordless movement of a piano sonata by, say, Mozart. They might respond, if it doesn't have any words, how can it be any good? No, I'm not interested. To be fair, one might come across a wordless tune in a TV commercial or perhaps a film score that's very appealing, and that could become a candidate for an earworm. But it's likely that an earworm for many people will involve a song. And for those of us who listen regularly to wordless music, earworms may feature short segments from the classical music repertoire that we've previously digested, or also songs that we have enjoyed in our lives. The triggers that initiate earworms can be elusive, but are sometimes easily detected. I personally find that a visual cue may often start one of my earworms playing. If I happen to encounter a friend with whom I connect a piece of music or a popular song, often just seeing them will trigger the start of the earworm. There's one more thing I'd like you to consider. My listening students frequently ask, how did Beethoven continue to write music after he was completely deaf? That is, no longer physically able to hear music. Our personal experiences with earworms can help us to understand how this was possible. Referring back to the definition of an earworm, it repeats through a person's mind after it is no longer playing. We all have experienced music in our heads, often with great clarity, after the sounds are no longer being physically produced, either in a live performance or in a recording. The truth is, all music is heard in our minds, whether it's actually being physically produced in our presence or whether we are just hearing it in our minds after it is played. What we have to admire about our favorite composers and songwriters is not only that they can hear music in their minds, because we can all do that, but that they can imagine and create music in their heads, from the shortest song to a 4-movement symphony to a jazz samba. Notes from Under the Piano with George Mariner Mole is produced by Midnight Media Group, Incorporated, and the Discovery Orchestra. The theme music, Rocky Mountain Samba, is by Dan Creasy. Lead sponsors for this series are Judy Musicant and Hugh Clark, and the Kozlowski Family Foundation. Major sponsors are David and Ellen Williams. A podcast version of this episode is available on your favorite platform including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and many more. For more information, visit discoveryorchestra.org.